Greetings, this is Espen Qayin, here from the Ashes Publishing, talking with D.H. Thorne tonight, and just hanging out. Gonna just discuss whatever comes our way as usual. Always seems to be the most interesting kind of conversations I've found. So say hello, Thorne. How's everything going?
Everybody? Yeah, what's going on, man? I'm glad to be here tonight, and I guess we're going to be doing this a lot more regularly now. This is going to be kind of fun now that I have my busy season's over and I can really focus on this kind of stuff. It's going to be a lot more fun. So we're going to be planning on doing this like once a week now, right? I think that's the plan.
Yeah, I believe that as we have it set, every Tuesday night about the same time, if possible. I'm sure that some things may come up or we might move things here and there, but in general, yeah, Tuesday nights, we're going to be here. Talking with everybody and just kind of shooting shit. Yeah, see what's going on.
I mean, like you said, like I think a lot of the times these streams are more fun and they tend to get productive because instead of sometimes you have a topic in mind, you can get kind of what's the word I'm looking for? You can get kind of stymied because you kind of finish the topic and you're like, I don't know what to talk about now. Or right. maybe when you thought of the topic, you were into it, and now you're like, I want to talk about something else now. So,
yeah.
But we'll have topics from time to time. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, it seems like a pretty good idea. Of course, if you guys here's the thing: we're really wanting to reach out to the community, really wanting to be out here, be more of a regular presence, and yeah, we are we are looking to work on different topics or whatever. So basically, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, anything you guys want to see us talk about, cover, please feel free to write Thorne or I, message us, and we'll be happy to write this down and consider your ideas. Because there's so much out there to cover. It's funny, we have these conversations and one topic will lead into another, which will lead into another, which will, it just keeps going. But if you'd like anything to be focused on, that'd be awesome. We'd love to be able to focus on that and, relay whatever knowledge we have on that subject.
Yeah. One thing I like to do on my own streams and with Dark Sorcery is if somebody has a question, because we're going to be busy talking away and probably getting distracted with ourselves, if you would please be so kind as when you put your question in the chat bar, please try to put it in all caps. This way I see them. I'm much more likely to notice a question that way. That's if you want to address it to either Qayin or I. And of course, if you want to address one of us specifically, please mention that too, because sometimes you have a question that's just appropriate for one of us. So, but we're here just to hang out too. It's not just, we're just here to hang out and talk about spirituality and magic. It's kind of like one of the things I love doing, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too, is like just hanging around like a campfire or something and just talking about life, the universe, and everything.
Right.
And, what could be cooler, than hanging out with people who are sorcerers and things like that? What could maybe like a Zen monk sorcerer, right? Like what could be cooler than that? Like, I mean, come on, that's kind of like what we're doing here. So.
Absolutely. So how's your, you just had a book come out, as I'm sure many of you all know already. It's doing really well, definitely making waves. How's that kind of going for you, Thorne?
I'm going to tell you, I am so touched because this is my first book and it's, I didn't expect a lot. I was like, when I first wrote it, I'm like, honestly, I'll just be happy if 10 or 20 people like it. And I've already got enough in 1 month to say that I'm overjoyed. It's way more than that. And it's an awesome feeling. And it's not just that. I mean, it's that people are enjoying it and they're really just they're chatting me up in private. They're saying, I love this part. I don't have any questions. It totally makes sense. I know what I'm doing with it. And it is for beginners a little bit. So I think the more advanced people are like, this is really good, but I'm done with it now, because it is meant to be the foundation of more books to come, because I'm going to be doing a lot more after this. But it's really awesome, dude. It feels like I've arrived in a sense, and it's not in a financial sense. It feels like I've arrived in a life goal, like a life journey is completed now. If I died tomorrow, I mean, I'd probably be a little upset, obviously, but I'd be like, my bucket list just got a little bit shorter. And
Right.
Not only that, but people have been contacting me constantly for a Kindle version, which I really didn't want to do because it screws up your formatting. It makes it look terrible. I mean, it really just does. But
Yeah, it's actually one of the reasons why I haven't done this with Thumiel yet, but I am still actually considering that situation. So,
well, I bit the bullet today and I formatted it up. It's not perfect. I'll probably do more additions if I need to correct things later. But it's some people, you know, here's what somebody told me that was actually really important. They said that it's hard for them to hide what they do from friends, family, coworkers if they have this big 10 by 12 book in their hands. You know what I mean?
right.
Or 8 by 10 book. And I kind of understand. They're like, I could put this on my Kindle and nobody has to know. And I'm like, when you put it that way, I get it. And I think that people will still rather have the paperback. So I'm putting it out there. In 72 hours, it'll be dropping the Kindle version as well. Maybe
Awesome.
less. It doesn't take long. It's like they take like a review period of up to 72 hours. So
Yeah, right.
maybe this time tomorrow it might be up. So
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Congratulations on everything. I feel it's gone really well, and I'm really looking forward to more material that you've got coming out. I mean, you've talked to me about a little bit of some of the stuff that you've got in mind, and I'm excited about it. So, yeah, absolutely, you've done well, and I'm really looking forward to more stuff coming out from you.
you know and I know that you've got your next, both barrels. The second barrel's about to go off with you sooner or later. You've got Smokeless Fire 2.
Right, and that's actually right now in its infancy. But I did want to kind of put that out there that it is in the making right now, that it is being worked on, and it's a very powerful tome. The first book was really written out of a lot of pain and anguish, and I can't say anything different for this second edition or this second volume to add to that. I don't just write books. It's got to actually, I've got to feel that.
Yeah.
And so the time had to be the right time for this particular kind of book to be written. And that time is now. But it has a different kind of aim or purpose. The first was essentially to fight order. And then it goes into detail. I describe it much better in the book than I'm describing it now. But it kind of was there to fight order, to go against constriction and conformity, and be able to break those bondage, that bondage and those chains, and be able to allow creativity and freedom essentially to flow forth. And it was rather drastic to go to those kinds of extremes in order to do something like that. But I did feel that such a force of chaos was needed to fight that constricting force. This book is written, and kind of in the same vein, however a bit different. This is to be used against those who have unjustly crushed and destroyed what I consider beauty and love within people. And a lot of people would think, wow, Espen Qayin, hail Satan, but there's so many just false misrepresentations, I guess, or false ideals as far as things go. To me, the left-hand path is really it's rebellion against that a tyrant. It's to fight for true beauty, true love, and not oppression, not cruelty, not abuse. And so this book is essentially going to be written for those people who have had that happen to them, and to be used as a weapon against their oppressors. Against this this horrible force that has stolen what I consider, beauty or purity from these people, and just crushed it into the ground. So this is for those people to take up and to wield against that which has caused this to them. So again, it's a weapon. Just as the first was a weapon, this is also a weapon, and written in that same vein. But it had to be written from a place that I was fully immersed in, and with people that are around me right now that are also going through very similar situations. And so, that's kind of the basis of the book. Of course, it's going to go into deeper workings with the individual jinn of some kind. Not all of them. Strange things.
You're going to be focusing a little bit more like on just a couple of them instead of all of them, right? I think
exactly.
that's what you're calling it.
Yeah, I've got some strange electrical things going off in the room for some reason. So maybe
maybe they're already going.
Maybe they're already here.
Yeah, maybe they want you to wait till you're done to talk about it.
There you go.
Honestly, one of the things you mentioned right at the start of that was talking about how there's so much misconception about what a left-hand path person's supposed to be like.
Right.
And I come at it from. I'm a little weird because I kind of shift around with what I'm interested in. I'm kind of like, 1 week I'll be really dark and brooding, and the next week I'm up and popping and happy-go-lucky. And a lot of people don't realize that, the left-hand path is not this edgy, to put it this way, the inversion of good. That's not what it means.
Right.
That's foolish. If anything, the left-hand path says
conceptions, and it really gets to me. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
It definitely hit the nerve with me.
No, it's cool. And that's the funny thing about when you do these video chats is like if we were in person, that wouldn't be cutting me off because we'd just be talking. And with the video chats, the microphone cuts out and does weird stuff. I think that's what happens. But I think and like it's definitely a pet peeve of mine because coming from like a Zen perspective, like that was kind of my left-hand path. As I kind of understood, I finally reached a point in that where I said, everybody has this love and light interpretation of Zen, which there's nothing wrong with wanting love and light and happiness and purity and clean. The problem is people get attached to that sentiment, and they're not willing to see that reality is not about good and evil. It's much more subtle and more really simply complex. Like what did we say the other day? It's deceptively simple. It's deceptive. It's simple in its complexity, or it's complex in its simplicity. And what ends up happening is people will, when they first discover their liberation, their moment of freedom, when they first start to try to rebel, what do they always do? They look at what the Christians do or some other what they see as good group, and they do everything the opposite. So they start, what are the 10 commandments? Let me break every one of them. And that's not to offend anybody, but that's a very infantile, that's like the baby step part.
Well, I mean,
some people never move past that.
It's exactly what the church has painted it as. You're actually acting out, this false ideology of what, the left-hand path is. And not truly what the spirit of it is, and of course it's to each their own, with just like with techniques, everybody has their own philosophies on things and their own techniques on things. But, to me personally, it's like, this is a movement of rebellion to fight for what's truly right. And so, like I said, it's to fight against the tyrant that wants control and, everybody to get on their knees and be subservient or subservient, I should say. And this is abusive to me. It's horribly abusive. And I've seen the pain of religion forced upon people. Some of my rites are designed to help people get over this dogma, and it really fucks with people. Yeah. I've seen tragedies occur because of these forced ideologies. And, the idea today to me is the left-hand path is all those who make this up are against this. We fight this. I see us as freedom fighters, if you will. A small band of rebels that fight against the greater tyrant. So there's a lot of misconceptions about this, and you got people out there that harming children or things like this and think it's cool because that's what Satan wants, and it's so it kills me. It kills me. It couldn't be farther from the truth, and at least personally. And if those people are around me, I have no want to have them in my presence. It's bad. It's bad. And it comes from a very childish, immature state of mind,
Well, it's kind of like I was talking to a new friend of ours the other night, and I said, when I was younger and I was doing things the way I used to do them, I was not a good guy. I was not one of the good guys. And that was from a position of weakness. I wasn't, I was weak, and I was exerting black magic against people to feel strong. And I'm not here to moralize about that. I mean, everybody's got to go through their stages, their life, their thing. I try not to judge people for their actions, but in an unfair way, we'll say. But yeah, it's definitely usually from a position of weakness that people seek to lord power over people. I often tell people that what recently happened with me, like with Lucifer and I've been, talking more and more again. And one of the things like he gave me was this interesting channeling. And essentially it was this idea that, a lot of people think that he was sent here or is here to liberate mankind. And there's a certain truth to that, but there's also a falsity to that. And that is, Lucifer doesn't want you to follow him. He doesn't want you to be like, let me be like you. A lot of people come to me and they say, I worship Lucifer.
Right.
Okay, that's not the Lucifer I know.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know what Lucifer you're worshiping. Lucifer will tell you, no, you're already, he doesn't do that. He butters you up. I mean, he butters me up. I don't know if he butters you up. He butters me up. He's always complimenting me about things, but he'll also tell me straight. He'll say, you're doing this wrong, but you're awesome. It's like one of those kind of things. But the funny thing is that it's not like he's here to set you free. Lucifer is a light. He's an example. He's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
And you need to break your own chains. Now, you can find help, of course, but you need to be the one to decide. If you want to stay in a gilded cage of religion and dogma your whole life, whatever it is, he's not going to be like, you need to be free. No, that's not how this works.
What I've always told, my students or people I've worked with is, if you go from getting on your knees and being essentially owned by one being, and, why jump ship and get on your knees and be subservient to another? It doesn't make any sense. I've always said, Lucifer doesn't want you to worship him. He wants you to get up off of your knees and look him in the eyes. He wants you to be strong.
That is exactly what I might. Did he actually? Yeah, let me see. I'm going to read you because I have it here as part of something I was doing as a channeling, and I can't show you everything on here. But I'm going to read you exactly what I channeled, and hopefully I don't cock it up and screw it up. Humanity's natural state is slavery. Now that's hard for some people to swallow, but if you really look at it, that seems to be the truth. Humankind rejects liberation invariably. Individuals alone seek true freedom. So in other words, when people get together in groups, they almost always seek some sort of, hierarchy. They almost always starts to happen.
Absolutely.
And individuals alone seek true freedom. It's not my goal to free mankind, but to be free. Now, that's kind of an interesting way to put it. He says, do not follow me, for the instant you do, you lose yourself. Simply know that true freedom is already yours, and your bondage is self-inflicted. And
yes.
So, a lot of people. Yeah, go ahead.
Just that right there reminds me of the actual devil card within the tarot. A lot of the times you'll see that it's only a string or a very thin chain.
Yeah. Yes.
And if people wanted to, they could snap those chains. They're tied to these things because they wish to be or are under the illusion. It's like having an elephant after a while, tied with a small tiny chain. It thinks it can't get out, and it can if it just were to. Like the leading leather on a horse. Like a horse could easily pull you all around or break that little strip of leather, but they think that and it's even more than that. I think, or we could take that a little deeper anyway, and say that a lot of people may subconsciously know this, but they're afraid of the consequence of having to admit that they are the ones that are in control of it. So in other words,
it's almost like what happens a lot of times. People will say they're being possessed by a demon while they go out and rape and pillage and do horrible things to, cut themselves, whatever. This is, sometimes that could be the case, but a lot of times it's also just an excuse. And in the same sense, people will say, I'm trying to be a better person, or I'm trying to whatever. Stop trying. I hate that when people say I'm trying. Fuck trying. I know you're trying. You're obviously trying, but that's the problem. You're trying. You're not doing it.
Right.
And it's usually just a way for people to put off actually doing it. And it's usually just a way for people to feel like they are not in control of their life. And that has been the foundation of my magic, of my philosophy, of everything that I do, of Luciferianism, of everything. You are the God and devil of your reality. And the more you put the responsibility of your life on other people, either as a victim, like you're a victim somehow, or whatever. And that doesn't mean you can't be victimized a little bit. It doesn't mean somebody can't punch you in the face and ruin your day and all that. But you can't blame the universe for everything that happens to you, because it's my firm contention that you are that universe. You are the thing that's doing that in all its various forms. All its various, what we see as imperfections are really just other sides. They're perfections in their own right. They're necessary things, kind of like every disease is necessary for the healthy function of an animal. If you don't have a disease that can curb populations or keep things in check, what happens? Everything gets overblown. So reality has this interesting balancing act it does, and that is one of those balancing pieces. You have to accept the good with the bad, and to be free you have to own that, and you have to be willing to say, yeah, you know what? I don't have to, if a bad event happens, I don't have to suffer for it. It's kind of like stubbing your toe and not screaming and crying about it. You just stub your toe and go, ow. Like, yeah, that hurts, Not everybody can do that. It takes time for people to be free like that,
That's kind of a gray area. It's definitely, to me and personally, I've had a lot of things that happened to me, and a lot of people very close to me that have had really tragic things happen to them that it's hard to just get up and brush that off, and just say, well, that happened, let's go on with my life. There's a lot of things, and I think a lot of that, again, kind of brings me back to like being free of a lot of different dogmas and things. But this life is definitely a test. It's definitely, I feel like a lot of the times it's like walking uphill with a backpack on, and rocks keep getting put into that backpack. If you keep walking up that hill, it's very difficult. But
yeah, what is that? There was a those monster truck and tractor pulls. They got that one tractor where as it goes, the weight moves up higher up on the thing. It makes it harder for it to pull it. It does feel like that sometimes. I definitely know what you're saying. But you know what I found is when you find your path, when you find your resonance, when you find your alignment, all that weight comes off. I mean, you'll have a bad day now and then, but you feel like, how can I put it? You don't feel high. You just feel free. You feel like I'm good. Right. And I still, trust me, man, I still have, you don't see them because I'm pretty good at not experiencing them very often, but I still have days. I did a write for somebody recently, and this was a really interesting thing. I can't say many details because it's all confidential, of course, but something had happened in the setup for the write that really, it pissed me off. And I don't, I'll have a temper for a minute. I get mad for a minute. I'll curse. I'll fuck you, piece of shit. And then I mellow out. But this was and that's what I mean. I actually had it on video. I had to delete it. I don't want the world to see me mad like that, because it's never let them see you sweat. But it really does happen. And obviously we know that. We all have those moments. But I don't like to hang on to those. I don't like to spend the whole day going, man, I wish I hadn't done that, blah, blah, blah. That's just an echo. That's just an echo of something that happened. And every moment is another chance to have a better experience. And you know what? We got a bunch of people in here now. We better say hi to some of them before they think we don't notice them. So we've got Cold Heart was here right off the bat. I don't know if they're still here, but they said hi. Sorsha Runaris is here. Hi, Sorsha. How you doing? Loco Ono's here. From Darkness Comes Light said hello. Let's see. Maria Renteria. She said, Ben, you're the greatest. We had Edie Fern. Dora Duna Orwick, I'm glad to see you're alive. Rebecca, my friend, she's awesome. Let's see, Ryan Coyne, I think that is Ryan Coyne. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong, my friend. I've heard life is a battle of good versus good. That's an interesting way to put it. Everybody thinks they're good, right? Like everybody thinks they're good. That's really, really like you don't ever think you're bad, right, Qayin? You don't ever sit there and go, ha ha, I'm evil, ha ha. You know, no one.
Yeah, I can't really say that I do that. No.
So I think that's a really deep point. As he says, you know, it's a battle of good versus good. I love that.
Yes.
Lucky Lewis says, I like this conversation. It's filled with affirmations, and it's a relief to know that there are individuals who perceive reality the same way I do. Yeah, man, that's, you know, I think we all, you know, how do I put this to some of my students and friends? Like they'll come to me and they'll say, I think what you say is so wise. You've got everything, like you got it so figured out. And I'm like, well, then you must have it pretty figured out too, if you agree with me, huh? That's how I like to think of it. Like, if you think I'm making sense, then that means you've already got it figured out too. Like, give yourself some credit. Like, any real guru is going to tell you that he's not the guru. You are. You're the one who has to decide that we make sense. That's kind of like, you know, the level one. Dor said Lucy was like an enlightened stoner dude to me. Hey, I mean, we're all going to see Lucifer in our own way, and I don't doubt that. Actually, that I've heard people say similar things. Just a mellow, chilled kind of guy. I could, you know, or girl, definitely a girl. I could see that too. Dionysus Draconis just got here, and we're almost done. We're almost caught up. And then Ender Oversaw, what's up, my brother? Infernal blessings to you too. Edge of Nightfall said, S. Ben Keen's eyes are glowing. Mwahahaha, devil horns. So we're all caught up.
You know what it is I've had like 6 Mountain Dews today. This happens. I don't know what it is. You know, there is a helpline on the side. I'm considering giving it a call. You know,
I'm done. I'm done. Did you ever watch Futurama? Did you ever watch that cartoon?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever see the one where Fry drinks the 100 cups of coffee in a day?
No.
Oh my God, you have to see that one because he gets up to,
you know, Gog's
in a good way. You have to see that one. It's hysterical.
I do liken Mountain Dew to Slurm, however. So
the Slurm. It's pretty close, yeah. So yeah, all right. So
you said something about Lucifer a little earlier. That you know, in some of the gnosis that you had received, that kind of back up some of the information that I received. You know, different anthropomorphic face, being that of Satan. You know, when I was doing research for Thumiel, I was really looking at evil. What is evil? You know, it's so different. You know, what is considered evil now is what was considered back in the day. You know, and so I had to really go back into like some old Kabbalistic sources and really go into that and study that. And what I had really come to understand, which was really, really prevalent and kept being echoed over and over again by different sages, was, you know, that evil essentially was separation from what was considered God.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when you talk about this individual path, this individualization, and that's essentially where it stems from, you know, being an individual, not being one of the herd, not being controlled, not being, you know, blindly following the rest of the sheep, essentially, but being that individual, being that person who stands up on their own and thinks for themselves. You know, and that's, you know, the essence of what Satan was and still is. To some degree here, you know, and also, you know, the Thumiel. But I thought that was an interesting point, an interesting transmission, essentially, that you had received, because it definitely echoed that same very true sentiment.
It's interesting you bring up sheep. We always bring up sheep whenever we talk about freedom and all this kind of stuff. And I forget who I was talking to. Actually, so I think one of them might be actually watching us right now. And I was talking to them about how there's different kinds of people. You have the sheep who follow everybody, right? Then you have the sheep who want to be the leader of the herd, and everyone looks at them and says, "Wow, how free they are! Look at them charging over that hill." But they're still saying, "Come on, follow me." They're not really free. They're still part of the herd. They're still trying to make the herd follow them. They need the herd, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Then you have, of course, the shepherds and the wolves, and everyone thinks that they're free or they're leaders and all this other stuff. The one who's free is that sheep that just says, "The hell with it," and disappears in the middle of the night. Nobody knows where they went.
Right.
And people who, you know, I really truly honestly believe that the path that we're on, the left-hand path, is this darker shade of liberation, because there's lots of different ways to reach this. This isn't the only one. But I find that people who are on this path, what is interesting about them is they're people who have either been outcast or they have themselves kind of left the herd behind in some way. They already feel separate. They're
staying within the sheep situation, the what would we consider the black sheep of the family, you know? So,
yeah, they're the toys on the island of misfit toys in a lot of cases, and they think they're broken in a lot of cases because society has decided you're broken. And the reality is, in almost every single case, the people who are really broken, you know who they are. The ones who are just a little different, that feel downtrodden and feel like they're broken, you are the ones who are elevated. And the reason why that's important is in many other cultures, at least traditionally in the world, people like you would have been elevated as spiritualists, as monks, as priests, as whatever. You know, you would have been the shaman that goes out into the woods, and you would have done your thing and people would have loved you. But in our culture, the kinds of cultures we have, especially in the Western world, are very uptight, and they require us to play the game. And people who don't,
one of everybody else, if you're not doing what everybody else is doing, there's something wrong with you.
Even freedom, like even our freedom is forced upon us. In other words, you better vote or else, you know, like
right, exactly. And if you don't vote, you mean there's horrible things thought about you, or you're not doing your part, or it just seems to be this whole we are a community and we must all stand together, think the same way, go to the same churches. It's all this, and that's all to me. It's all been forced upon society, especially the Western civilization. And if someone stands up and thinks, "Fuck, this is fucked up," why are there four cameras at the stop sign?
Yeah, I wonder about that all the time myself.
If somebody thinks these things, then they're the conspiracy theorist, or they're the person who's causing trouble, or they're the piece that isn't going along with everybody else, and there must be something wrong with them. And then of course some kind of psychosis is applied to them, and they're put on some kind of medication or some kind of program, when in reality they're actually free thinkers. And it's tragic. It's tragic what it's become.
We get hammered down. Like, I was lucky enough to grow up in a time when someone like me was just thought that there was something wrong with them, and they just kind of like, I slipped through the cracks. I didn't get put in special education too much and all that other stuff. So when my problem was my IQ was too high, and I figured out ways to cheat the system really easily, and I didn't get caught for it. But the problem is that free thinkers, people who are individualists, they are hammered down right away. They're not allowed to express that. And, that goes back again to what Lucifer told me, is not everyone is meant to be free. And I know that sucks to say, but
I agree.
Yeah, not everybody is meant to be free. And so what I do, and kind of what you do and everything else, I don't try to preach to the world. I don't go out and say, you must be free, you must be free. I would rather offer people ways and means of being empowered. I want to give people the tools to be empowered by themselves. I'm not going to say do it my way. I'm going to say, here's my book, here's Qain's book, here's this tool, here's this method. Get out there and with your own, interests, find your freedom if you want to. And if you don't, then find out how to make your cage as gilded as possible and enjoy your life as best you can. The only thing I'm going to say, though, do not get in my way. If I want to be free, do not get in my way, because I'm not going to play games with that.
This whole situation has got, usually we can follow our instincts. We know what we want. We know what we feel is right. And we move forward with that. And now with everything, people are second guessing themselves. There's so many people that come to me and I work with that really, their instincts are screaming at them as far as what to do or how to go about something, and they're completely lost because they've been told that what their instincts are are incorrect. They're wrong. There's something wrong with them. They're faulty. And they've been fucked up so much they're not even trusting themselves, and that's something that I've really had to work with people with. The old Toucan Sam situation. Follow your nose; it always knows.
Follow your nose, man. And that, it's interesting you say that, because a lot of people who contact me, and I'm going to keep this short because but you might agree, they come to me, and I get people who like they're practically prostrate, and it's like, stop it, stand the fuck up, first of all.
Right.
And second of all, you don't need me to tell you how to do this. You know why I'm good at this? It's because I know I'm good at it. That's the difference. I know I've taken my authority. You need to do that too. I have people come to me all day. I don't want to mess this up. How do I contact the spirit the right way? How do I do?
Right.
How do you call your friend? Pick up the phone. It's not that hard.
Right.
And I feel, like I sound flabbergasted, but I mean it in a nice way. Some of these people are really nice people, and they don't know. That they've been pressed down and crushed, and they don't know that the spirits are going, I'm here. You don't need a sigil. If you can hear me, you don't need anything. Just talk to me. And but we give them the tools anyway, because they people do need them. But go on. I didn't mean to cut you off too much with your
story. I find it, really honored. I'm honored to be in the position I am, but I also feel very fortunate in the way that, if there's a lot of people that come to me that are new. And if I feel fortunate in order to direct them, in the right way, into trusting themselves, into trusting their instincts, into working things in the right, kind of philosophy. Essentially, I have an apprentice course, and by the time they're done with that, they understand the philosophy, the mechanics behind magic, and they're able to go forward with that confidence, but it's like they're really, really at a loss, and I feel really grateful to be in the position that I am, to be able to give them the tools, just like you want to help them. You want them to be free. You want them to have the skills and the knowledge to move forward in their own path with confidence and with power, to be an individual. And yeah, it's an awesome. I love my job. I love being here and being able to help people out. It's definitely makes my day every day that I get to do that. So,
I just put a post up, I guess it was today. It feels like it was today. I'm gushing about how happy I am because the last 48 hours or so, not just the stuff we've been working on, which was really cool. Some of the stuff that we got going yesterday when we were talking.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's really, I don't know what I'm not bringing it up too much because I know you want to reveal things a certain way. So we'll keep that quiet till we're ready. But man, not just success, like fuck success. The number of people that contacted me yesterday out of the woodwork and this morning to tell me that what I did for them helped them, or my book helped them, but especially the writes I've done recently. There was actually a couple where I was like, I haven't heard from this person in a while. I hope it's okay. I hope, I don't want to dwell on it because I don't want to pull the magic back and not let it work, but I haven't heard a word since I checked up on them, and I'm wondering if it worked out. And then bang, today I get messages telling me that they're happy, everything's working, and it worked in such an unexpected way. And I'm like, yes. But it feels awesome to be in that position. And I said the same words you did. I love my job. I love what I do. Like, this is not a 9-to-5 job where I go, oh, I don't want to do this today. This is like, I can't wait. When I get up in the morning and I see my comments and the community growing and everything else, I feel like I'm answering.
It is enlightening, for you to be able to, enlightening, but empowering is the right word, for you to be able to see this and see your work, be spread out amongst people who are looking for this kind of gnosis, and it's definitely something that, again, I know I'm grateful to be able to be in that position. To do that. But yeah, it's like it fuels you. I don't know about you, man, but to me it's like, okay, I see all these people. I've been here since, I hit the scene since 2012, but it's like I've seen, more, so many people come and say, my work has helped them, and it empowers me to keep going forward, keep creating, keep pushing that envelope, and just releasing more and more to get what I have in here, out. It's definitely an empowering situation.
And it's like I tell a lot of them too. They're like, how can I thank you? I'm like, one of the things you don't realize is, especially if you're using my methods, if I give you a spell, if I give you my book or whatever, using my methods or believing in me and saying Thorne helped me, you've just made my spiritual pressure 10 times denser. You've just made my reality stronger, because you've now reinforced this power. and that's also a gift as well. You know, that's a gift to me. That's something I'm receiving. And I often tell people, like, you know, I wrote my book not just to share with the world and make a few dollars. No, it's also to empower my methods of magic, because now you're using my methods too. And that also empowers you. The more people that are using my methods, they're using your methods, and it kind of deepens the ruts, you know, deepens it clears the trail that much more for that energy to prosper. And so it is enlightening, and it's empowering, and it's liberating, and it's just an amazing path. And what's great is, in our culture today, we need this, whether it be what we're doing or even the love and light new age people, we need this in our culture. Our culture is losing this. And it's not losing it in a healthy way. Like, we're not outgrowing the need for these things. We're just abandoning these things. You know, it's not like humanity doesn't need the gods or the spiritual beliefs or the mysteries anymore. We're being taught to not wonder. Does that make sense? Like, we're being taught to not
wonder, don't question, and go along with what your neighbor's doing. And
even in the sciences, like they have all these headlines to get your attention, right? They'll say, alien civilization found around Tabby Star because of this, that, and the other thing. They get you all, people are like, ooh, that's really interesting. And then they hammer it down and say, don't even think that's possible, and blah, blah, blah. And and it's, and it gets to the point where, like, I listen to scientists a lot, because one of my other hobbies besides magic is to be at least well-versed in a, non-academic fashion in science. I want to know the truth. I want to know the skepticism. I want to know what's going on both sides of this coin.
You mentioned UFOs and aliens, and I perk up. I've got all of a sudden.
Well, that's interesting, right?
I could go on and on and on about that subject, man. I'm thinking when you said that, what's going on in series, and like, oh yeah. Anyway,
that was kind of one of the things that drew me to you in the first place, was because of the Lovecraftian current.
Okay.
Yeah, but because of the Lovecraftian current, you're like me. We both have like a similar, like, where does science and magic merge? Where can we get these two to play nice? And yeah, I mean, and all of these things, like, actually, I have a really, like, one of my favorite guys on YouTube is Isaac Arthur. I don't know if you watch him, but I'll give you some links to him. You might like him. No, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on our stream. No, I'm kidding. But he's a really interesting YouTuber, and he does, like, all these videos about, like you said, Dyson spheres and all of these interesting things. And, like, people might think, like, why is this, demonologist, this demon sorcerer listening to science programs? Isn't that the enemy? It's not the enemy, guys.
No, it's not. I hate that separation between magic and science. It's like they've always been at war, and they're the same damn thing. So
I think the one created the other, to be honest with you. I think magic. I think science is the result of magic. I think what we see as science, is, like, our ability to fly in airplanes, is a magic spell that was cast by generations of sorcerers going back to prehistoric times. So everyone looked at the birds. I want to do that, and they would tell you, "I want to do that, please, spirit." And maybe in some occasions they could on an individual level, but for the human race to achieve flight, that to me is the result of a long-term spell. It's a manifestation of a long-term, magical intention.
That being said, if anybody out there listening to this can fly, please message me. I haven't got that done yet.
I want to use the Force too, like a Jedi. I want to be able to just. I will stop acting like I know what I'm talking about. If you got that skill, please. I will suddenly be humble. Like, I'm always, all talking about arrogance and stuff. I will suddenly go, "Yes, my lord." You'll see the complete opposite. I will cut my hair for you, my lord. Yes. So
that's interesting you bring that up. I hate that. People will write to me and call me Lord, and they'll call me Master. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I'm like, hey man, I prefer brother or friend. There is no master. I don't know of a master. To be a master in one subject would mean to me you are a master in all subjects. I've never met that person. I sure as hell am not that person. It's like, okay, I look at it like a path, and there's some people that are further down the path than others, but there's no end to the path. You keep learning, you keep perfecting, you keep advancing, and there's no end to it. So to be called a master or something, it kind of rubs the. It really annoys me because it kind of goes against all of my teachings. And if you're calling me that, then you obviously haven't read my teachings, and that means you shouldn't be calling me that in the first place.
Yeah, that's even yeah, especially, and I always liken if I was going to define a master, just what would a master be? A master is someone who has walked the path and realized that they've come back to where they started from, and that is the destination that they're looking for, and that master will be the one sitting in the middle of the path, and you'll say, "Why are you sitting there, master?" They'll look like they're not getting anywhere. But they're smiling, they're happy, they get it, they understand, and unfortunately that is not a thing you can teach to people. This is not, you can't give somebody enlightenment, you can't give somebody, all you can do is just say, I walked that way, watch out for the pit on the left. That's all you can do. And I love that. I don't mind that. I think that's a beautiful thing to do for people. And like I often tell people, don't get behind me, walk next to me for as long as you want. You know what I mean? Don't try to, and don't you dare get in front of me. Like, you can walk in front, you can go ahead of me, but don't get in my way. Don't get behind me and follow me. Walk next to me. And if you want to make a right and I want to make a left, I'm not going to feel bad. It's not, if you do what I tell you for a while and you say, I want to do it a different way, I'm not here to tell you different. Just don't step on my toes in the process. That's all. That's all I ask.
I couldn't agree more. I said this, before that everybody's on their own path on this. There's everybody's, good at one thing, or one person's good at one thing, one person's, not so good at it. We I do believe that we have traits about us or abilities about us that we're born with. Some people can read tarot better than another person who can scry, per se. It's their innate ability to be able to do this. That doesn't mean that person's better than you, or that you're better than the other person. It's just, there's different qualities. Everybody, has their own timeline, their own path, and you can't compare. Again, I've said this before. You can't measure yourself up against another person. Everybody has their own path and things. And like I said, I have a philosophy about magic and how things work, and I had to make this make sense to me in order to follow this path. And so it's like I have an understanding of it. But my understanding of things, you can ask 15 different sorcerers their opinion on how to do something, and you're going to get 15 different answers more than likely. And this is where it comes down to this individualization. It comes down to following your instincts. Don't do somebody else's magic, do your magic.
Do your own. Absolutely. I love when I found that quote for myself, and I said, because people were asking me, give me this, give me that. Stop trying to do my magic. You can use it as inspiration all you want. That's great. But don't do my magic. Do your own. Like my book. Read my book. Understand it. Try it. And then figure out your own ways to do what I do.
Right.
But, you said something, and it's, like, as a joke, like I immediately, my brain went to the interview with the vampire where Lestat is with Louis, and Louis doesn't know how to do anything that Lestat does, and he says, the dark gift is different for everyone, and it's kind of like that, and it's kind of cool because no two sorcerers have the same skill set, and like you said, if you compare yourself to someone else, you're always going to feel inferior, or worse would be superior to others. And I've known people that see things that I can't see, but they'll ask me stuff and I just know it. Or, these gifts are different for everybody. And it's not just how you develop them. It's like you said, they're innate. They're things that you've probably had your whole life, but didn't put two and two together. It's kind of like someone who's never told that they're colorblind. Like, let's say you have somebody who never got tested for being colorblind versus someone who can see, right?
Right.
They don't know that they have a gift or a difference. They don't know that there's anything different about them until somebody points it out. And you could be right now, the person watching this might feel like, I don't know how to do what I need to do. I can't see spirits, but I get like a ringing in my ears whenever I talk to this spirit, when I call the spirit's name or whatever it is. You probably have a lot more than you realize, but you haven't put two and two together yet that you have this ability already. And it's I can't bring that out in you, and I don't think you can. I don't know if you can, Qayin, but it's something people just have to meditate on. They just have to try to trust their intuition and their instincts a little bit.
When I first got like, I started practicing magic. When I really think about it, like when I was very young, I had done some love spells and whatnot, and I didn't even realize I was doing magic when I was young. But then as a teenager, I did some chaos magic, and I didn't realize it was chaos magic at the time. But anyway, when I really started going back into the craft, it's something that's been a thread throughout my life. But when I really, as an adult, if you will, went back into magic, I really wanted to approach it the correct way. And I had been a rare book dealer in the occult, and so I had a really vast collection of amazing tomes. And I started really going through them, and okay, all right, I'm going to practice, again, but I really wanted to get a good firm foundation. So I'm going to read this book, and then I read that book, and I realized, okay, well, that's great. I'm going to read this book, and I read that book, and then I read, I have to read this next book, and then I have to read the next book. And I started thinking, fuck, am I ever going to actually practice? I'm just going to keep reading books.
Be a bookworm.
And so, I finally was like, I'm done with this. Learning, of course, but like, I've got to start practicing. And so I took what I learned, knew, and applied it and did an evocation and whatnot. And I can say, and this is again what I tell a lot of people, is that you can read as many books as you want, and it's good. It's great information. It's good to have the knowledge and history and whatnot. But to actually get in the circle and practice magic, you're going to get tenfold the experience that you can in reading, any kind of book. So the more you read, the more you practice magic, the more you're going to open up. Your third eye opens up. Some people will be like, oh man, there's so many spirits that are coming to me now. I'm starting to feel them and see them and whatever. And I'm like, they're not, it's not that they're coming to you. It's that you're awakening to see them. Yes. They've always been there.
Yeah.
Love that. It's just, it's the more you practice, the more you awaken, the more you become skilled, the more experience, the more confidence, the more, so it's like getting into it and getting your hands dirty, getting in there, doing the work, and you're gonna gain so much more experience by this than just reading books. I mean, there is such a thing called an armchair magician, and
yeah, that's my pet peeve. But I don't hate them, but that's my pet peeve because I'm not well versed. I've said this to Waylon a million times. I'm not a bookworm. I'm a doer, not a reader. I'm the Dungeons and Dragons version of a sorcerer, not a wizard. I don't read tomes and memorize and do all that stuff. I conjure my spirits, I talk to my spirits, and they guide me, and I just do what they show me. And it's more like chaos magic because of that. So I do what feels right at the time. I push my energy into it, and go ahead.
Ironically, I mean, that's the thing. You could read all these books, and at the end of the day, it would tell you to essentially be doing what you're already doing.
What I'm already doing. And just, the way I see it is all of these books are written in the language of the subconscious of the person who experienced or wrote that system. So that doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It just means that's their personal experience of the spiritual world. And it is meant to be an inspiration for you to use whatever parts work for you and use those in your own way. And because I'm reading, occasionally I'll pick up, I like the classics because they're very weird. There's a lot of weird stuff that goes on in the classical stuff and, the old grimoires. And I often look at them and I go, now, how do I know this is a legit grimoire? Like people were practicing this versus some charlatan just made up something that sounded cool, And I said to myself one day, I said, it doesn't fucking matter. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's going to work.
If the pieces work. Results, the source does not make a difference. Lovecraft had written, and I'm going to slaughter this, but it's basically, there's no difference between, all life is but images within the brain, experiences essentially. And it doesn't matter if those things are born of real things or imaginary things. The experience is the same. And that goes back into like, all right, if you have a dream and that with parachuting or whatever, and learn something or experience something, maybe you had an interaction with somebody and you experienced something absolutely amazing. When you wake up, do you discount it and say it wasn't real? And if it's so, that's tragic.
I would say that
still the experience. There's a series of books called the Don Juan series or from Carlos Castaneda, and there's a lot of controversy over are those was the guy actually doing this stuff, whatever. I found the knowledge within this series of books so profound that it really made no difference to me whether the guy was sitting in his basement writing this shit or if he was, out in the desert. Because what was written there actually has so much value. And would I just throw that out the window and say, "Oh, it wasn't real"?
I think that's why I love the term current, and I use it more sometimes and less others. But like I was explaining to my wife and some other, I think I actually brought up on our stream last time we spoke, is that a lot of the currents disagree with one another. But when I'm in the current, when I'm doing magic in that current, I exclude, or unless there's something I can draw in, I pretend that current is the only truth there is for that time period that I'm working in it. So
right.
when I'm working in the Luciferian current, where Lucifer is the Paradise Lost Lucifer, not the Horus or the whatever
sure.
Lucifer you think it is, I fully engage that Lucifer, and I see that Lucifer as real. I feel as if he's fallen from heaven. I do that whole show is made real for that time period. But then when it's all said and done, I also know that that's just a stage play. That's just performance art meant to invoke those energies, those emotions. The emotions that come from that is different from the emotions of other interpretations of it. And that vibration, that energy is what does it all, So, and you can apply those to all kinds of different things. So I love the term current. I love the way if someone is able to transition from one to the other. I often recommend people try to find 2 or 3 currents that you really enjoy and work in all of them in different times. Get to know each one. Like the Lovecraftian current is very different. We were talking about this today. It's a very different. Right. You don't get things, you get experiences with the Lovecraftian.
Absolutely.
And with like the Goetic current, that's about subtle changes in your life, your goals, your whatever. They'll, they're not going to move a mountain, but you might get over it without any problem because they'll inspire you, whatever. And other entities have other things, and they will help you or harm you in other ways. Yes. So I think we're what are we approaching, about an hour now? I know you didn't have a ton of time tonight. Yeah, we're almost at an hour now. So I think maybe we'll ask and see if anybody has any extra questions, and we'll get into. Is there anything you want to bring up, Qayin, while people are thinking of questions they might want to ask? Is there anything that?
No, I mean, I will touch on the fact that there's a lot of deconstruction and reconstruction, or yeah, I guess that's the right term for building of the house. Actually, there's a lot of changes going on. We're real excited. Thorne's definitely come in, and we're working together and building a whole new paradigm, essentially, of what we want to bring to the world. And that I know I'm usually kind of under wraps about things until things are ready to go, but I really am excited about the changes. Really big news. So you guys just keep your eyes out for stuff. We're definitely, there's 2, a couple members here we've got waiting in the wings that will be added here soon. Yeah, just really good things coming, a lot of growth. So just hold tight. I think you'll all be very pleased with it.
I think the biggest thing we were talking about is just we're going to try to do more content generation. We're going to try to, make sure that there's informative content that you guys, not just streams, videos, whatever inspires us this week. We'll do next week, same thing. We'll have different things. So I don't know. We'll see how that pans out because we have to work on what we're going to put out. But that's all. It's all building, like you said. I'm really looking forward to being. Making some of this stuff is going to be fun too, because I know there's a couple things that, like, you were like jumping up and down for joy talking about yesterday. I'm actually like really excited about some of that. That's going to be great. So yes, Qayin does get really happy. It does happen.
Once in a blue moon, I gotta say.
He's not always calm, and I'm kidding. Qain's awesome, man. It's fun. Yes. Dower, current is how do I put this? It's like, in plain English, you could call it almost like a theme, but it's not a theme. It's kind of like a cultural metaphor, a cultural norm. So like Christianity has a current to it. So everybody who's a Christian believes things in a certain way that are kind of limited by their dogma. So currents have like a little bit of a dogmatic element to them sometimes, but not always. You can have very open currents, like
I'm
chaos
curious
magic.
to hear your definition, because when people ask me this question, it's always so difficult to try to answer it.
I mean, it is, and I hope I'm not blowing it, but it's, to me, it's it's many different things, but it's kind of, you can feel when you're in a current, because you will have a sort of feeling about things. You will feel like, oh, that was Narlatotep that's working with me this week, or whatever. But it's a mindset. It's a set of, I don't want to say dogma, because some currents are anti-dogmatic. Like pure chaos magic tries to get you clear of all dogma. You're not supposed to believe in anything full time. If you're supposed to be able to transition from one belief to another freely. So one minute you can act like a Christian, the next you can act like a Satanist. It's you're meant to be able to do that. But even just using those terms, if I say, what is the difference between a current of a Luciferian versus a Christian versus a Buddhist? What's the difference? Those are currents. Okay, that's one way to look at them. They're not religions, but they're structures of belief and action that kind of have a metaphorical tone to them. And so, like, when you believe that Lucifer is a fallen angel, you have a completely different way of acting and operating than someone who believes Lucifer is a cosmic rebel that always appears as the bad guy in every movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's different ways to look at these things, and when you go into one current or the other, it can change how you act. Kind of like flavors. I think flavors is not right either, but it's flavors is a fair way to say it. It would be more like it can be more subtle than that. It can be like, Breyer's vanilla versus not Breyer's, whatever, like some other brand of vanilla, but they can both have a vanilla flavor to them, but they're still a little different. So yeah, worldview, reality tunnel. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Ajna. I love Ajna. He's always showing up to our streams. Yeah, that's a good way to put it too. So I don't know, Kane, do you think that I missed any ways of describing it? Would you add to
describe it? That's the thing. It's like it's a way of practice. It's a way of thought. It's encompassing the philosophy, the culture, and all of it together. It's not, you can't single. Why it's hard is you can't single this or that out about it. It's the conglomerate. It's the whole. It's the mosaic. It's the whole thing together. It's not, it's not one thing or another thing that,
it's like every time you try to pick something out, you got to go, because it doesn't, I know what you mean. Yeah. Like as soon as you think you got something, it's like, but that's not it either.
Right. It's the whole thing put together.
Like when I look at the medieval or Victorian grimoires that I have, which aren't, they're just reprints or whatever. And I'm reading through them and I'm trying to get into the mind of the people who wrote it. What did they believe and why did they write it that way? That's a current. You know what I mean? That's a current. So I'm getting into this mindset of the person, here I am. I'm some guy, I'm in candlelight. I'm sitting at a wood table. I got my little thing. Now, let's say I really believed what I'm writing. Well, what do I believe? I believe that Lucifer is a fallen angel. There's hell, there's heaven, there's all this stuff. Demons are ugly, monstrous, deformed, mutated angels, basically. Women are evil, men are whatever, sinful, whatever, fuckers, and the king is good, and whatever. And I try to get this, I try to get, like, it's almost like a historical thing. Like I try to get into like a reenactment mentality, like almost like a method actor. I'm trying to put myself into that person, and then when I get that, then I find that tells me things about why they described the demons the way they did. Why do we describe them differently now, but still similar? Like if you look up drawings that people do in the current time of a spirit, why does it look so much more real and cool to us now? Well, our language of our subconscious is different than it was 500 years ago.
Precisely.
So that's a current. That's one way to see the current is, if you want to go back to that other way of thinking, you can do that. And it's hard. It takes practice. But when you can do that, you can do some pretty interesting things, because you can, go ahead.
I would just say, like I was saying earlier about how to, like, comparing what was considered evil now as compared to like back, 600 years ago or whatnot, or 1,000 years ago. So it's when I was writing Thumio, so it's like, separation was evil. Getting away from God, thinking on your own, and it's still the same now, but it's evolved, it's changed, it's grown.
Especially in Christian currents, like that's the first thing you say is hell is separation from God, and I go, actually, that sounds like freedom. It kind of does. Like, I hate to put even like, I don't even want to go to hell and be in awe of Lucifer all day. Hell the fuck no. I would rather go off into darkness and create my own universe. That sounds like more fun. That sounds like a much more like interesting path. So yeah, I mean that's another current, isn't it? That's another current.
It is absolutely.
So, you want to wrap it up? What do you think? We've done it for about an hour.
We are. Make sure, guys. We're gonna be, like I said, we're gonna be doing a lot more a lot more live streaming, a lot more personal videos and whatnot. I've got some stuff planned to be doing, just little things to, just techniques and whatnot that I'll be teaching. They won't be live, but they will be up on the channel, so you don't want to miss that. Make sure you subscribe to From the Ashes Publishing on YouTube. Sign up for our newsletter. We're revamping everything. It looks, Thorne has taken over that situation, and it looks absolutely phenomenal. I'm really excited about it, and it's going to be coming out. A lot more news, a lot more content. We're really doing good. So make sure to go to FromTheAshesPublishing.com. Sign up for the newsletter. A little thing will pop up on the screen. There's no real actual tab for it. If you're on any screen, it'll just pop up eventually. I think after like 15 seconds or something.
Yeah,
like that.
It does. It's like I bet you it is 15 seconds. It feels like it's 15
like
seconds. Yeah. Definitely go there. Check out all the magical services we have to offer. Check out the publication section because my book's there. Shameless plug.
Indeed.
And of course, my YouTube channel is, actually you can find me on Facebook easier. It's Demon Sorcerer Thorne, but I have my own YouTube channel. If you Google my name, DH Thorne, you'll find things just like if you Google Qayin, you'll find everything you need. But maybe I'll put a comment down there with my channel. But subscribe to both because we're merging a lot of what we're doing, just like I do with Dark Sorcery. And we want to really make From the Ashes like contain a lot of cool stuff. I really like what we have in mind to do soon. Yeah. It's going to be fun. So yeah. All right, guys. What do you say?
I wish you all a very good night. And like I said, we're going to be doing these every Tuesday, so make sure to set your clocks, set your schedules, and we will see you next Tuesday.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Good night.